I'm going to show you what I would consider a tiny turbo, and I'll give you some measurements on it to show you just how small this turbo is. The outside diameter of the inlet, 49 millimeter. So the inside, or the size of the compressor wheel, has to be smaller. I'm going to go as far as I can. It's flared, so I'm not going to get an accurate measurement. But we know the compressor wheel is smaller than 38 millimeter. I'm thinking the compressor wheel is probably about 33 millimeter. I think this is a BorgWarner S, or a Schweitzer BorgWarner, same thing. I think it's a S100, but I'm not 100% sure on that. This is a comparison to the HX35. In size, it's very tiny. If you're like me, you're kind of wondering, what's the point of even putting a turbo on the vehicle if it's that tiny? I'm guessing this turbo is good for around 150 horsepower at most. And go to the other side. Believe it or not, this is not the smallest turbo I've ever seen though. TD02 is probably the smallest I've seen. That compressor wheel is probably less than 30 millimeter big. TD02 is actually smaller than the BMW TD03 turbos. There's also a TD02 on the Honda Civics, but I haven't seen those in person yet, so I'm not sure quite how small that is. The TD03 for the BMWs measures 35.6 millimeter on the inducer, and the turbine I think is the same size. The smallest turbo that I remember working on is from a Yamaha motorcycle. This turbo was a TD02 and it had a really small 7-blade compressor wheel. I'm guessing that it was around 25 millimeter. I may even still have that compressor wheel at my shop, my old shop. Now that turbo, we ended up, someone gave it to me because they removed it from the motorcycle. He worked at a scrapyard, and I took that turbo and put it inside of a National lawnmower to replace his turbo because his was completely bad. So I took his IHI turbine housing and machined it for the TD04 turbo, and we upgraded that one to a bigger turbine. So it's like a TD04 turbine and then that 7-blade compressor wheel. That one later had a sludge problem and went bad. So we then upgraded that turbo even bigger for that lawnmower, and that one had, I think it may have been like a 13T. I can't really remember. Actually, I know what it was. We upgraded it to a 3000 GT 9B compressor wheel, and then it had the TD04 turbine, maybe the HL. I can't remember. We were just trying to piece something together so the guy could get his lawnmower back together. The lawnmower we put it on was a 3-cylinder diesel. It's made by a brand called National, I think. That's just kind of an interesting story I've had with rebuilding a small turbo. After we ended up doing the 9B upgrade on that lawnmower with the 3-cylinder diesel, later it did blow up, but I didn't really understand how or why, I guess. The engine, something happened with the motor. I wasn't sure exactly what. I think it may have had a problem to begin with. Those turbo lawnmowers are like really expensive. I think you probably pay like $6,000 for that lawnmower. And it had like it had a huge mowing deck. It actually had 3 mowing decks on it. I know it was like, I think it was like 186 inches. I can't really remember for sure, but that's just kind of another interesting story I had on a turbo repair for a lawnmower.